Spark plugs on my daily driver, a 2009 Toyota Highlander Hybrid. I did this back in October, but I'm only editing it today, but it's here now, so enjoy the misery. And yes, I do say misery. People like to rip on European cars for being difficult to work on, but this job is on par or usually worse than all of the spark plugs I did or saw done while I was working at a Mercedes-Benz dealership. Every job you can do on a car has a book time for how long that job is supposed to take, and thus how much a customer will pay for it, and spark plugs on most cars have a book time of somewhere around 1 to 2 hours, but this car has it set at over 5 hours. Toyota managed this because they reused the V6 engine from the previous generation Highlander and paired it with a hybrid system that takes up all of the space on the left side of the engine bay, so the engine is shoved as far down and back as possible in the engine bay, making it impossible to get to bank one of the engine without taking a ton of stuff out, including the entire wiper cowl, but that will come later. For now, we start on this front trim piece that you see here. With that removed, I can now get these two bolts off, loosen this clamp, pick this up, and start on this tube. Oh, that was easier than I thought. What are you buzzing for? Shut up. Next, I can tackle pretty much the whole air box, which means a bolt here, a bolt back here, one more over to the side here, and then 2 more on this side. Next up is the connector for this intake sensor here. 2 more of these clips on the side to remove. Got it. Last thing to do is loosen this. I forgot my electric ratchet at work, so I'm doing this with a hand tool. Once that is loose, we should be able to pull this off. If you're doing this yourself, make sure you have some sort of hose pick for this tube and skip straight to taking the wiper cowl off instead of waiting to do it like I did. Doing that will offer you a lot more room to get at this tube. Before I tackled that, I decided to take one of the front ignition coils out and look at the top of the spark plug before diving too deep, just to make sure I wouldn't run into trouble later on. This was just a regular maintenance service after all, and the engine was running fine, so I didn't want to dive too deep in if any rust or whatnot would give me much hassle. Spark plug looks clean enough, I should be able to get it out. First thing to do to get the wiper cowl off is first get rid of the leaves. Go back to nature! Then are a couple of 14mm bolts holding the wiper arms down. I had already removed the wiper arms earlier in the year for a different service that needed the cowl out, so mine popped off super easy, but you'll likely need a puller tool. There was exactly 1 clip holding this entire thing in place. How? Oh well. Next up is the wiper motor and linkage, which starts with a few connectors. There it goes. Now there are a variety of clips I need to pop off to get this cable out of the way. Well, out of the way, I think it's just 4 10mm holding this whole thing in. And now, there's your wiper motor and linkage. Next up are a variety of little bolts holding this whole metal cowl down. And with luck, that should be everything that's holding this cowl down. Now with all of that removed, we can get a better access to this boot. Yeah. This out. Ended up having to take this little bit out if that shows up on camera, but we got our, I'll call it a junction. While I'm here, I'm also going to take the rest of these ignition coils out just to save me some time later. Pop and pop. Toyota specifies to completely remove the throttle body for this job, but it has a coolant line running through it to keep it from freezing in the winter, so it's much easier to unbolt the throttle body from the rest of the intake behind it instead of messing around with the coolant. You'll want a new throttle body gasket for this just to be safe, but my car is still running 5 months later without replacing it. I think I'll start with a couple of easy things. First, this fuel vapor feed hose and this connector. The vapor feed should just be a matter of popping this clamp off. There we go. Next up, the connector. Now it's just 4 10mm bolts holding this in. Now we should just be able to, there we go. Next thing I want to do is this thinking intake valve set. One more connector here as well. With everything out of the way, the next step was to remove the intake button. I started out with the bolts on the front as anyone would do.
but quickly found out that there are 3 extra bolts on the back of the plenum right up against the firewall where it's nearly impossible to get to.
Welcome to tomorrow morning. I got a stubby wrench. Let's see if I can get this out. I almost dropped it, but I got it. 16 minutes to get 2 bolts out. My goodness. Now let's focus on getting the rest of this plenum off then. Get out. That's it, get out. Why, Toyota? Where are you late? Alright, here's a better view of what I was dealing with. Here's the plenum in all of its glory. This is a heavy piece of garbage, despite being plastic. These bolts back here are what I was dealing with, and these are where they are attached. This far back in the engine bay, with that much room to work with, there is nothing here. Like, I can barely even fit 2 fingers back there. This is even worse because this AC line is here, and you got that. I can also barely fit 2 fingers back there. Why did Toyota think this was a good idea? At the very least, we should be on the home stretch here. I can get to these ignition coils easy enough. Just pop the spark plugs out like that. Pop these out. That first plug coming out, it's looking pretty good.
With the spark plugs out, there was nothing left to do but install everything in reverse order of removal, starting with some brand new Denso spark plugs recommended in the owner's manual.
Torque specification on this one is 13 foot-pounds.
Ignition coils came next.
Plugs are torqued, coils are in, coils are connected, and the bolts are in. Next thing we gotta do is get the plenum back on. Here we have our plenum, fresh new gasket.
After the plenum were the throttle body, plenum bracket, and some miscellaneous bits.
Next up, we've just got this emissions valve set thing. This one goes in here. It's got a connector here. This bit goes here. Torque spec on these is approximately 1 UGA and 2 Dugas. Next thing to do, I'm just going to get all the airbox pieces fitted up. Make sure that this will actually run. Here we go. I win! Starts! It runs great! No check engine light.
I ended up fixing the intake leak after recording the video. There's a crankcase ventilation tube on the underside of the plenum coming from bank 1 that wasn't fully seated, and getting that snugged up did indeed make it run great.
I forgot to put this bolt back in to hold the plenum up.
The last things to do to wrap this up were finish installing the intake system, Attach the front trim piece, and reinstall the whole wiper cowl.
And there you have it. Nightmare spark plug job completed.